You've tuned into the Bellingham Podcast for the week of October 8th, 2017, episode, believe it or not, 53. From the city by the Sailor Sea, I am AJ Barce.
And believe it or not, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, AJ and I are seeing red as the leaves are turning orange and yellow. The green grass is getting wet from all the rain, which is giving us the blues. If you're feeling down about the fall season, stay tuned for some colorful conversation. Let's get this party started. This is the Bellingham Podcast.
Two roads diverge in a Barkley forest, and I took the podcast less traveled. How you doing, Chris?
I am feeling rather waxing poetically right now. How about you, AJ?
I could tell. I'm doing pretty good. I'm waxing caffeinated.
There
so we're
you
good.
go. That's evident, most definitely. What is the topic du jour?
So I liked your intro. I don't know if you've noticed, but it is cold outside.
Yeah, you know, as we are lamenting the end of summer, I need to be a little countercultural right now. I like layered clothing weather. Yes. Dun,
What?
dun, dun. Yes. No, I am a fan of October. It's my favorite month, not because of the World Series or other TV shows that may start up. I think it's just the change of seasons and being able to wear a jacket, which is a really juvenile amateur way, but I've always grown up wearing a jacket. And I found that to be a psychological armor against other people, because in the summer, you know, we're all wearing T-shirts and such, and I just don't feel as protected as I do with a layer of clothing around my T-shirt. So anyway, I'm enjoying this kind of weather. Sorry, y'all. I know we'll give it about 9 months. We'll be back in the beautiful Bellingham summer, but in the meantime, it'd be chilly out there.
Well, I mean, truth be known, I like it too. Like even weather like today, where it's kind of drizzly, cold. I still ride my motorcycle in, so I mean, I'm wearing a layer underneath my pants, and I've got my vest that I have underneath my leathers. And yes, it is frigid when I start my motorcycle up, and it's 40 degrees out at 6 a.m. But I really like it. I like especially the ride back home because, you know, it's nice. It's warm enough that I'm not like freezing, shivering all the way home. And I love the leaves. I mean, I love just when you ride a motorcycle and you hear that like whisk of crunching leaves as you go up like Barkley Boulevard. It's awesome.
And we are also blessed because we don't have to deal with a 90-minute commute due to a slowdown or a stalled vehicle on one of our roadways. Right. So yes, we live in a great place and have a fairly reasonable commute to get to and from our places of work. So here is a question. As we are approaching the cold season when everyone is kind of hunkering down and indoors, a lot of people are glum and sad and downtrodden. AJ Barce, how do you combat these glum days of early autumn?
Well, there ain't no cure for the fall time blues.
Get this man some decaf, folks.
Well, no, like I always found that song funny, like the summertime blues. But like here in the Northwest, like fall hits and like depression sets in. And I don't mean that like I just you genuinely kind of feel mopey a little bit.
Yep, it's understandable.
And I mean, it's not everybody, but myself included. I'm in one of those bunch where like SADS, that seasonal affective disorder, really does set in. Especially because like you and I get up early in the morning to get into work and stuff, and it's just really depressing when you wake up, especially in right at the cusp when we start getting into winter, and you go to work and it's dark, and you leave to go home and it's dark, and like just mentally you're just like, wow, I saw no daylight. I feel like a vampire.
The Ides of December are devoid of sun.
Yeah, and so a few years back, my wife really was being affected by it as well. And so I started doing research, as always, and I started going down the road of home automation. And no, I'm not saying like that keyword that the Amazon Echo uses to turn off and on my lights. I just use a simple Wi-Fi connected light bulb by a company called Lifex. Full disclosure, Lifex did make me a brand ambassador a couple years back. I'm no longer affiliated with them, but they're a really cool company when it comes to their tech, because their light bulbs are really they can be quite expensive. I mean, they can range anywhere from about $60 to $300, and I'll get to that in a second, but they make it really simple to use. I've tried a lot of other connected light bulbs. GE makes some,
Philips,
the Philips Hue.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other Wi-Fi or smart light bulbs, they require an extra piece of technology called a hub, or they're really laggy if you do use them. Perhaps they use Bluetooth. LifeX made it super simple. Like, you connect it to your Wi-Fi hotspot, you use your smartphone, Android or iOS, and it's snappy. Like, if you tell it to turn on, it turns on. If it turns off, it turns off. But also, their simplistic nature of a light bulb is the fact that it's a light bulb. You should not have to use your phone to turn on and off your lights. So, like, if you go to a light switch, you can simply, like, let's say you left it dim. As a new dad, I leave it dim in the evening because I'm putting my son down, right? But maybe in the morning I need to see something because it's dark outside, right?
Wake up that brain.
I gotta wake up that brain. I can reach over, unlock my phone, blah, blah, blah. Or I can simply just reach over, grab the light switch, click it on, it'll go to dim, turn it off, turn it back on again, it goes to full bright. Like, something simple as you do not need to use an app. Like, you set it to pink light. Let's say you wanted mood lighting, because a lot of LifeX bulbs, you can have different colors, which I'll also hit on in a second. But, you can clear that and get to light, make it the purpose that it is, a light bulb, by simply turning it on and off again. And I know that's a horrible tech joke, but I was waiting until the end to use it.
Roy from the IT crowd called. He wants
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Exactly, yes.
And I love that. I love that ideology that it is a light bulb with features, not a feature-filled light bulb. That's my big shtick with them. But anyway, LifeX bulbs, they range in price and they range in aesthetics. So if you have really nice can lighting up in your ceiling, they have light bulbs that have that special screw-in mount. They have lighting for what they call beam. I showed this to you actually earlier today, where you can actually have, I'll call it nibbles on your wall. If you're familiar with the old game Nibbles or Snake, where like you can have light kind of trail around your wall or go around corners. I think it'll look really cool around crown molding, just saying.
Commander Riker's quarters in the Star Trek Enterprise 1401, the D or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really futuristic. It's got the wow factor that in case you're feeling glum and you come home and you see this new home device, you're going to go, wow.
Yeah. They've also got little rope lights. I can't think of what they call that, but kind of like what you actually have something similar in your office, but imagine that rope light where you can control the LEDs and the pulsing. And I mean, you can make it red and pulse like a Cylon, like it's just really cool the way that they take a simple concept as a light bulb and make it super easy to work with. And at the end of the day, it turns on, it turns off, it makes light. What's great about most of their products, even their white light bulbs, they just make standard white. It doesn't have to have crazy colors in it, is you can put it on a dimming setting where it will gradually fade up and also gradually fade across different light spectrums if you have different color light bulbs. So it can simulate sunrise and sunset, so it helps with your circadian rhythm. It's a great biohack, and I've used it for the winter time especially, and it does. It makes me a little less foggy in the morning. Having instead of that or whatever effect you have on your phone these days, because who has an alarm clock? Waking up by light, I find just mentally helps me get through the start of my day.
If you're similar to AJ and how light is a factor to you, keep this in mind, folks. We're about 2.5 months away from that big holiday where everyone exchanges gifts. Here's an opportunity to get yourself an early Christmas present with some LifeX or other types of adjustable hued LED smart lights. I think it's a great idea because lighting does affect our mood.
Yeah.
And when we're in a workspace that has fluorescent lighting for 8 hours a day, of course we're going to feel like glum because that doesn't replicate the sun. So yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, and again, like the main shtick, and like I said, they don't pay. They're not endorsing this. They're not paying us to say this. Like I said, I like it. I have several of their light bulbs in my house. And what's great is there is no hub. You don't have to have this other piece of technology that has to talk to it. The bulb itself connects to your Wi-Fi router. It's great.
Speaking of endorsements, we don't have any. And if there are some companies out there that want to endorse us, give us a call. Area code 201-731-8324. we'd be happy to chat with you to see if we actually want to take some endorsements. But the stuff we talk about, we buy ourselves with our own hard-earned cashola.
Yeah.
So, there's your disclaimer. So.
Yep. So anyway, that's my main thing. What about you, Chris? What do you do to help to get through the fall time blues?
In the autumn season, like you are riding in your motorcycle, you get on your bike and you're on the roads, I find that when I'm staring at a screen for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week plus, I really want to not look at a computer screen, but another screen. And that's my vehicle windshield. It's a wonderfully changing view in my vehicle windshield. And especially in Whatcom County, it's possible to enjoy the screensaver that is Hannigan Road as you go north on the way to Linden.
The Hannigan Highway.
The Hannigan Highway, thank you very much. I like driving with my family, but I also like driving by myself with a little bit of a soundtrack. Bonus points if you got classic blues like John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters and Buddy Guy, because there's something about classic blues in a monochromatic gray, black, white type scenery after the leaves have all fallen out that really set a mood for my mind to allow me to have thoughts that I would not necessarily consider. I like driving along Lake Whatcom Boulevard, heading out towards Sudden Valley, and you get to, if you keep going, you get dumped out in Alger, and then you could boogie on I-5 on the way up. Chuckanut Drive is beautiful. We all know this if we're from Bellingham and Whatcom County. You get dumped out of Burlington, you take I-5 back up north. It's a great way to spend an hour, hour and a half, and enjoy some beautiful scenery that you may not necessarily experience all the time. But it puts me in a better mood, especially with music as my soundtrack for that. Also, I actually do a little bit of a fall possession purge. It's the inverse of spring cleaning. I just get tired of looking at a lot of clutter in my environment, and for the things that I own, not my family's, I'm not purging my family stuff, but if there's something that I haven't worn in quite a while, and if there's some magazines or books that are looking lonely and unused, I may just donate them to the library or the Goodwill or something else like that, so that others might be able to use them in the meantime, and it's a little less clutter for me to, little less stuff around, and a little different change of view puts me in a better headspace.
I like that headspace.
We're all about the headspace. That's
and speaking of headspace, this might be coming to you across the airwaves from KMRE 102.3 FM.
Low
power community radio for your headspace here in the city of subdued excitement.
Your radio, your community, your voice. KMRE 102.3.
Or at least our voice anyway, Chris.
That's right.
So let's segue a little bit to our topic at hand, Chris.
Yes.
So it can be difficult in the fall and the winter here in the Pacific Northwest to really get out and do something, especially because, like we said, it's getting colder. People want to stay indoors. And a lot of the times, like, people they've already burned their vacation during the summer and the spring. So Chris and I were thinking, what if you had like a 24-hour staycation, being a local tourist, as it were? Where would you go? So Chris, where would be your 24-hour staycation?
I would say things start off, so I'm talking about 8 a.m. or so. I would start off in the morning visiting a coffee shop in Fairhaven called the Rustic Coffee joint.
I think it's the Rustic Coffee. Just Rustic Coffee?
Yeah, exactly. Across the street from Skylarks. It's in Fairhaven. It's a wonderful environment. Nice, kind of a cozy little nook. I like how they take care of how they prepare a cup of coffee. It's just a really nice environment, and I will bring either analog or digital something to occupy my time, and spend some time in a coffee shop, allowing my mind to have margin. After that, I'll probably walk over north on towards Rocket Donuts in Fairhaven. There's also one downtown in Bellingham, but you know what? We're talking about a 24-hour staycation, and my theme, as you will find out, revolves around comfort food. So you got your warm cup of coffee. You got some tasty donuts that are just out of this world.
Oh, he went there.
I went there. Yes, Rocket Donuts. If you haven't been to Bellingham, you'll know it when you see it. Anyway, great place to get a little bit of a sweet treat. From there, I'm actually going to double dip. I'm going to head up to the downtown area of Bellingham, and there's another coffee environment that I thoroughly enjoy, and I've thoroughly enjoyed for many years. It's Caffe Adagio on Railroad, across the street from the WTA bus zone, and right near Casa que Pasa, Bellingham's best burritos, I believe, and the Tequila Research Institute for those of you that enjoy tequila. But Caffe Adagio has just about the penultimate environment for me as an introvert and a heavily thinking introvert. Smooth jazz, sometimes classical, never dubstep. It's always a great musical environment. You can have the clinking sounds of dishes and saucers and cups, along with the of the espresso machines. The owners, Luke and Diana, are, how do we put it, AJ? The goods.
They are the goods.
And I've thoroughly enjoyed. They actually know my name. This is nice. They remember my name, and I really appreciate that. So I would spend some time at Caffe Adagio because in this day of comfort, I want to get caffeinated. So I might go, decaf at Rustic and maybe caffeinated at Caffe Adagio. Nonetheless, I would probably visit the Secret Weapon in Bellingham for lunch, which is also kind of around the downtown district. That is Hana Teriyaki on Holly Street, down by as we approach the waterfront. But it's a wonderful place to get some teriyaki and rice. Comfort food, whether you like chicken, beef, or pork. They might have some tofu, vegetarian options.
Do.
Yeah.
I think they're vegan friendly.
Yes, and I thoroughly enjoy that for lunch. But in the afternoon, got to work off all that coffee and grub that I've just thoroughly enjoyed. That would involve going back to Fairhaven and parking at Boulevard Park, but walking along the Taylor Dock. And we've talked about this many times. We recorded an episode there in the past, but to occupy the day, I want to get some steps in. And so what better place to get to step in Bellingham than the Taylor Dock, which can take you by the Chrysalis, which is a wonderful hotel overlooking the bay. And after that, I would imagine that it's being close to dinner time. As I would linger, I want to go to the filling station because in talking about comfort food, I want to get my burger on. And there's a burger joint in Fairhaven called the Filling Station. It's car themed. Those of you that haven't been there yet, go there.
Yes,
it's a wonderful place. So Fairhaven is kind of like my happy spot in Bellingham in a lot of ways. And however, I would jump back to the downtown area in the evening because generally I would not be disappointed. In most cases, I would not be disappointed in whatever the Pickford Cinema has to view for a movie in the evening time. I would probably catch a 6:15 early evening show that would last for about an hour and a half, a documentary, some independent film. Definitely not something that has Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Ben Stiller, Will Ferrell, or any of these other wonderful Hollywood actors. You probably won't find them at the Pickford Cinema. Let's just say that they're a cut above most modern cinema. And then finally, I would either go to, if it's close on a weekend, I would probably go to the Upfront Theater, which is nearby, and catch some improv comedy.
That's Ryan Stiles' club, isn't it?
Ryan Stiles' club downtown, the Upfront, is just a fabulous place to get your Whose Line Is It Anyway on, where they just riff off each other, excuse me, and go off in a wonderfully controlled way. Should that be the case, if there's any time left in this 24-hour staycation, I'd probably head to the Temple Bar downtown and have my Thai Basil Daiquiri No.2, which I was indoctrinated in by the wonderful bartender who nailed it. I normally don't talk about drinks, ladies and gentlemen, because I am honoring our heroes among us that are going through recovery and don't want to deal with alcohol. But every now and then I will imbibe. And when I do, I likes me some Thai Basil Daiquiri No.2 at the Temple Bar. And that plus an everything plate of the finest meats and cheeses, so eloquently and effectively presented, that would top off my 24-hour staycation of comfort right there.
Wow.
How was that?
That was, ladies and gentlemen, so Chris and I did not collaborate as much on notes this episode, and so I did not know that was going to be your Power 24 hour. That was a lot of local stuff, dude.
Well, first of all, I do love this town.
Yeah.
I've been here for just about 24 years, and I consider myself a native. There's a lot of places that you can go to that don't involve a crowded, loud, dirty word bar.
Yeah. Dirty word.
We want to keep it clean.
Yeah.
And no explicit tag on the podcast. And, the brew fests and the loud restaurants and the action and the hustle and bustle of the popular places of Bellingham are great. That's what makes Bellingham. But I seek
the subdued.
Subdued. I seek the alternative in a lot of ways, even though these are popular joints.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily the ones that are flooded with people.
Sure.
Have you caught that theme, folks? Yeah, I kind of seek the quiet among what Bellingham has to offer. AJ, how about you? What are some highlights for your 24-hour staycation?
So my 24-hour staycation is going to look vastly different than yours. So mine starts off fairly early, and my cup of coffee and my breakfast is going to be served by the best chef in all of Whatcom County. Her name is Magdalena.
Hi, Magdalena.
Hey, Magda. Magdalena's Creperie down in Fairhaven. I have talked at nauseum about how awesome she is. You cannot go wrong with her creperie. And she also serves Stumptown coffee. So Stumptown out of Portland.
Yes. Keeping it weird. Keeping it tasty.
And keeping it caffeinated. I'll usually start there, and it's fun for the whole family. So my wonderful wife and kiddo comes with, and we, there's not, I can't say what my favorite dish is, because pretty much much like a Caffe Adagio, like Magda knows us by name, and pretty much I don't ever have to order. It just gets going, and whatever she comes out with is amazing.
I think that's one of those life pro tips you may hear about. If you can find, find yourself a place where they know your name, and without saying or ordering, they know what you want.
Yeah.
That's a sign of a true high quality establishment.
Yeah. And yeah, that place and her, she just feels like family. It's amazing. From there, if we're feeling adventurous, we typically go south. We'll take Chuckanut because, again, it's Chuckanut. We're going to go all the way down until you see a junction called the Bow Edison. And we're going to hit Bow and Edison. And down there is a little cafe called Tweets. And I might get my second cup of coffee from there because why not? It's caffeine. And usually down there, we'll just toolie about, honestly. My wife loves to take drives. And so just getting out and driving and, seeing a little bit more of our Whatcom and Skagit County.
At not a breakneck speed
Nope.
when you're encountering road rage, because you just can't do that on Chuckanut Drive.
Nope. I mean, the max speed you're probably going to go is probably 55 miles an hour. So, I mean, just toolieing about. And then from there, we'll head back up. Or in my staycation lately, I've been doing a remodel. So my staycation has literally been like, okay, play in the morning, make a trip to a hardware store of some sort, like Hardware Sales, or one of the bigger places, and keep working on my kitchen, which I finally finished. I have one last project in that kitchen, which is tiling the backsplash, and I will be done, Mr. Powell.
Congratulations. Will this project be, the kitchen project, will it be completed by 2018?
Oh, yeah, it will.
Okay,
it
good
will.
enough.
It will. The tile, we literally will be taking the trip that I am describing today, probably tomorrow, to pick up some tile down in Burlington.
All right,
so,
very good.
It's the same direction. But typically speaking, we'll hit breakfast and coffee early morning. We'll head towards Bow Edison because it's closer than Coopville, and it's cute and quaint, and I like the places down there. Stop by a hardware store probably down in Burlington. Hit High Five to head back home so I can start working. And then usually I'm working at home and juggling kiddo and working, and pretty much we stay at home for this 24-hour staycation up until dinner time. And then from dinner time, we're going to venture back out. We're going to head north this time on your favorite Hannigan Highway.
Yes, indeed.
And we're going to stop at a place just before Linden called the Rusty Wagon.
That's right. Oh, it's a wonderful joint.
I love the Rusty. Similar ambiance for me to Magdalena. Same reason why we go there. There's a few wait staff there that pretty much remember us by name and knows, typically when I go in, I'm looking like I just got done working on remodel. And so there's this wonderful waitress there that just like, so are we doing the ribs tonight? Yes, we are.
Awesome.
Again, that's the vibe that I go for. Is I like being that regular, and getting to know a place and they get to know you, and you just, it's not that it's I don't know, it's not that we're boring. It's just that I like feeling a part of a restaurant.
Absolutely.
And being a part of that community. And then from there, because I have a wee one, Chris, I have to get him down for bedtime.
Indeed.
So my 24-hour staycation doesn't look as hip and flashy as yours. It's more caffeinate, crepeate, okay? Caffeinate again, go get supplies, work.
Create.
Caffeinate some more, and then hit the Rusty Wagon.
Excellent. Sounds great. While once again, AJ and I don't have any endorsements from companies, but we do endorse, ladies and gentlemen, this fall season, taking a day for yourself.
Yes, that's the whole point of this podcast.
And so once again, we didn't have this last episode, but it is time for unscripted
insights.
That's right. So once again, for those of you that aren't aware of it or just tuning into our show, we have show notes, but we usually don't put these questions down. AJ has no idea what I'm about to ask him, and so his answer will hopefully be raw, unedited, unscripted insights into his psyche. So AJ Barce, you are about to receive a call. In the first Unscripted Insights, the Bellingham City Council commissioned you to do a photo of anywhere in Bellingham. Guess what, AJ? That got noticed by the United Nations.
Oh, jeez.
And the General Secretary of the United Nations calls you up. Mr. Barce, the United Nations Council would like to fly you out to wherever you want to in the world and shoot a world leader. I have no idea what accent this is. I just wanted to make it foreign. The United Nations would like you to shoot with your photography camera, not with a gun. Shoot a world leader of your choosing, because we have a specific place in the front atrium of the United Nations. Which world leader shall we fly you to?
Oh, wow.
Hit it.
I already chatted with the Dalai Lama in the last Unscripted Insights.
Yes.
And I said, or the Pope, depending on who was available. So I feel like Il Papa needs to be thrown in this one. I don't know. For me, when it comes to world leaders, there's several presidents and there's several diplomats around the world that are doing amazing work. But again, I lean toward spiritual leaders, not because of my own faith or affiliation with them, but just because, I don't know, it's something different because they're driven by a higher purpose than just their people or political standing. And I find that interesting. So if they could fly me out to the Vatican, one, I've never been that part of Italy, and two, I would want to just, I would be interested to hear from the Pope how he would want me to frame him. Every Pope is different. And, it would not be a token like if I was flown to the White House, like there would be the shot of the Oval Office. For the Pope and the papacy, I feel like each Pope would have a different meaning that they would bring to each frame and where they would want to be shot. And so where in the Vatican he would want to be staged, I think would lean towards his, how he leads in his personality. And I'd want to capture that. I'd have to brush up on my Italian, but it'd be cool.
Well, thank you, AJ, for that unscripted insights. I don't know what
what nationality is that?
I don't know. It's from another country. But what the heck?
You're fluent in your Wakamanese? I don't know.
I'm fluent in something, but let me tell you. All right, AJ, you're up. Hit me.
So Chris, I'm going to ask you a deep, dark secret, or actually ask of you what your deep, dark secret is.
All right.
We know that you are the biggest extrovert on podcast.
Sure.
But no, I have no phone call, no diplomat that needs to talk to you. But Chris, in your life, you had to be afraid of something. What fear, if you could have any resource to be able to get over a fear of yours, what would it be?
A resource to get over a fear. Currently, I have a fear of walking into a room and talking in front of people. And while I flip that switch in the back of my head to turn into a gregarious extrovert who's able to communicate eloquently and articulate my message, I have a fear of all these people looking at me and yeah, exactly. Just like you did right there with the googly eyes that you can't see on the radio or on the audio. What would I need to like get over?
Yeah. What would it take for you to get over that fear is my question.
I would probably have to, other than take a shot of courage, some kind of talisman or some kind of mojo hand. The good luck thing, like when I have this, I know that I'm going to maybe go for found leather in Bellingham, who knows? But to have something that when I look at it, that I don't need to worry about this fear, and the fear thing is only in my mind and not probably what's going to happen.
Cool, dude.
So that's some unscripted insights for the week of October 8th. And I think it's time we stick a fork in this episode.
Okay. That wraps it up for this edition of Bellingham Podcast. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us on the iTunes, on the Google Play, on the SoundCloud, on the Spreaker. And I usually do that all in one breath if you haven't figured it out. If you're in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us on KMRE 102.3 FM.
Low power.
Low power community radio here in the city of subdued excitement. On that note, from the city by the Salish Sea, I am AJ Barce.
And I'm Chris Pell. Thanks again for listening to us once again on the Bellingham Podcast.
I had to wait till the very end.
That's right. Good edit.